In this episode, I'm going to go over 5 confidence draining habits that you need to break as an athlete. Hey there, I'm Eli Straw, a mental performance coach who works with athletes from around the world on building a stronger mental game. When we play with confidence, we play with trust in ourselves to go out there and perform well. This leads to free play, it leads to natural play. And this is where you'll find yourself performing well during games just like you do during practice. However, when there is a lack of confidence, this is where we will find ourselves underperforming, maybe playing scared, maybe playing tight. These habits are also known as mental blocks or mental challenges that athletes experience that work against confidence. And habit number 1 is negative self-talk. When you think negatively about yourself, or you think negatively about the environment you're in, your teammates, your coaches, or anyone else, that will lead to lower levels of confidence. Now, there are 2 types of self-talk that we want to examine when it comes to low confidence. The first is direct self-talk, and the second is indirect self-talk. Direct self-talk refers to self-talk that is directly about yourself. So these are those I statements, right? I am a bad player. I suck today. I just can't do this. Indirect self-talk is self-talk that is about the environment. And this can equally hurt your confidence because maybe you say the other team is really good. I never play well at this field. These refs suck. So you say statements about the other team, about the refs, about the environment, and that can also lead to lower levels of confidence as the game starts. It's tough for us to get away from, the fact that the way we think when we play, the way we think going into games, it has a direct impact on our emotional state. And if we even look at beliefs, right? So we could see confidence as a belief you have in yourself to play well. Beliefs are formed through our thinking. And so if you have negative self-talk over an extended period of time, this will lead to a lack of belief in yourself because it will lead to a belief that you're just not good enough. Habit number 2 is over-focusing on mistakes. This can occur during games and it can also occur after games or even during practices. When we give so much attention to mistakes, even if we are doing so thinking that we want to fix that mistake, if we're not careful, this will lower our confidence. Because if every single day, whether it's a practice or a game, I'm thinking about the mistakes that I made, I am analyzing them, and then worse, if I'm criticizing myself because of them, this builds the belief that I'm not good enough. And when I go into a game with the belief that I am not good enough, I won't have much confidence. When you are examining mistakes, we know you're doing it in a way of wanting to improve and not wanting to make that mistake again, but we have to be careful about how we do so. It is helpful and valuable to think about the mistakes you made in order to improve. But you have to be careful because you don't want to criticize yourself, you don't want to beat yourself up, you don't want to get down on yourself. It has to be a very objective way that you're looking at these mistakes where you say, okay, I made that mistake. What do I learn from that? How do I work on that? And then you move on. Focusing too much on mistakes, dwelling on mistakes, that's where we will really see your confidence drop. The third habit is comparing yourself to others. This is such a common one that I see within my one-on-one coaching, which, by the way, if you are interested in my one-on-one coaching program, I've put a link to learn more about it in the description below. But so many athletes compare themselves to others. And I think it's completely natural. I mean, we all do it all the time in our lives. Comparing ourselves to others is even easier when we are in a competitive environment or we are competing against somebody else for a starting role. There's a quarterback I'm working with right now who we've been working together throughout the preseason, and he's been struggling to fight for the starting position, and it's natural for him to compare himself to the other quarterback. There's also a soccer player I'm working with who's in college, and she isn't the starter, so she goes into the game comparing herself to the other player. But when she does that, her confidence drops because naturally she thinks, well, I can't play as good as she plays. I can't do all those moves that she's doing. So she's starting from a point of not feeling good enough simply because of this comparison. And for the most part, if we already struggle with confidence and we compare ourselves to others, we aren't going to be comparing ourselves thinking, oh, I'm as good as that person, or oh, I can be better. We're probably going to be comparing ourselves and saying, well, I'm not as good as they are. I can't do everything that they can do. And again, those types of thoughts will do nothing but lower your confidence. Habit number 4 is needing to play perfectly in order to feel confident. Now, an example of this comes from a conversation I had yesterday with an athlete, and she and I were talking about how this upcoming season, she wants to feel confident, she wants to feel good about the season, she wants to have fun. And the answer that she kept giving me when I was asking her how can we do that was playing well. And that is the easiest answer to give. It's the most normal answer to give, right? Well, if I see myself play well, I'll have confidence. If everything goes right, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to enjoy myself. But we have to figure out, how do we have confidence in order to play well? And this can be a bit of a paradox where we need confidence in order to play well, but we think we're going to get confidence from playing well. But when we rely too much on the result, especially too much on perfect performances to have confidence, we're going to be waiting forever, and we're never going to have the confidence that we need to even have decent performances. Instead of having our confidence based on and built from perfect play, we want to have our confidence based on the small successes that we have. These can even come from practices, but they can also come from games. But we have to work to get away from this feeling that everything needs to go perfect and we have to play the best games in the world in order to have confidence. Because not only will we be waiting forever because we're never going to be feeling perfect, but that also puts a tremendous amount of pressure on ourselves to play well, which typically leads to underperforming. And habit number 5 is playing scared. There are many reasons why athletes play scared, but for the most part, it comes from this thinking that the consequence of a bad game, of a mistake, is something we want to avoid. So then we end up playing scared. Playing scared is the opposite of playing with confidence, because when we play with confidence, we trust ourselves, we allow ourselves to play freely, we take risks, we play all out. When we play scared, we hold ourselves back, we hesitate, we play timidly. So if you are going into a game scared of making mistakes, having your stats drop, whatever it ends up being, you have to work on letting go of this fear in order to allow that confidence to shine through. Because even if you have trust in yourself and your skills, if fear in this scared play is there, it will overshadow any of the trust that you have built. Now, how can you work past these bad habits that are lowering your confidence? Well, there are many different ways we can do so. So what I've linked right here is another video that goes into more detail on how to really work on building confidence as an athlete. And if you're listening to this as a podcast, I've put a link to that episode in the description below. Now, another way for you to work on developing this confidence is through one-on-one coaching, like I mentioned earlier. But I also have 2 online courses depending on your age. One is the Confident Competitor Academy that's great for older athletes, and that one is primarily focused on building confidence and overcoming anxiety and fear. And the other course is the Mentally Tough Kid course, which is great for youth athletes to help them build confidence along with many other skills. But the main point is, if you want to work to build confidence, we have to first examine what are the bad habits right now that are lowering confidence, while simultaneously using mental skills along with preparation to build more confidence in yourself as a player. Because the more confidence you have, the more consistently you'll play, and also the more you're going to enjoy yourself on the field or court. So check out those resources that I have linked below, and I want to say thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and I wish you the best of success in all that you do.